All right, we want to welcome the man himself, Motown legend, Richard Street. Hello, Richard.
Hello, how are you?
How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I'm still alive.
Long time no hear, man.
Yeah, well, the economy has affected everybody and everything in this country.
I hear you now.
And it's just a matter of mapping out another plan of attack to be able to survive. So that's what my concentration has been on for the last year or so now.
I hear you, Richard. You got a couple of friends here in the studio. We got Mr. Larry Cotton here. Say hello, Larry.
Hey, doing, Richard?
Larry, you I don't hear from you, Larry.
Don't you start.
Okay, I won't start, but I miss you, buddy.
Likewise. Good hearing your voice tonight, man.
Yeah.
And you have another young lady who wants to say hello to you. Go ahead, lady.
Hello, Richard.
Hello, Marilyn. How are you? I know that voice anywhere. God bless you. It's so nice to hear your voice, Marilyn.
It's wonderful to hear your voice, Richard, and God bless you too.
Thank you.
So how have you been, man?
I've been great. I was telling somebody the other day, it's kind of like a shame to. Life is wonderful and beautiful to be in it, and it's a shame that we all must pass. And when this happens, it just reminds you. When I was younger, I didn't think about this an awful lot. But now that I'm older, it just reminds you of how the gift of life is so precious and how it can be gone in the blink of an eye. And we've lost so many wonderful entertainers. It's unbelievable.
That's true.
Yeah, we've lost not only just from Motown, but we have lost great entertainers. Sometimes when the phone ring at a certain time at night, I'd be afraid to answer because I know it's going to be some news about somebody else's passing, And, the last one I attended was Levi's, and that was really emotional for me because they were one of in fact, they were the first group that when we were the Distance, we went into a nightclub and they were singing, and when they came off, we went into the dressing room and we asked Duke, could we sing 2 numbers on their show a cappella? And they let us sing 2 numbers on their show, and I'll never will forget that. They had 4-part harmony before they went to Motown. They wasn't a rock and roll group, you know what I'm saying? They sung 4-part beautiful harmony. I mean, it was something I never heard until I first saw them. So we had a long relationship. And Lawrence and Obie and Levi, the only one left is Duke. And it just makes you rethink and count your blessings, man, and be quite honored to still be here to represent what a lot of people grew up with, and that's Motown.
Yes, indeed. You're definitely part of that Motown sound, and we're honoring Motown's 50th anniversary. And we do thank you for being part of the show here tonight. Like we say, don't get the opportunity to hear from you that much, and people have been calling and emailing all week in anticipation of this night. So we just want to let you know.
Oh, that's beautiful to know that people still remember you, and it's not always about money. It's sometimes just to be remembered, or some song that you brought out that they say that helped them go through some trying times, or they got married to, or whatever event that had happened. It just always brings a smile to my face when somebody tells me that.
Now, Richard, last time we spoke, you was talking about your book was coming out soon?
Yeah, well, I had to recapitulate on that for the simple reason that events has happened. So much stuff has happened since the last time I said that I couldn't end it.
Okay.
And it was very important for me, I felt, to keep going to see what else was going to happen for a minute to make the book really be interesting. I'm not trying to bring out a book that says, okay, 1964, My Girl came out and all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to bring out a book as being a black young man in this country and the trial and tribulations that I saw and the struggle and the fight and how did I manage to come through it and what did it take from me to go through all what I went through. So if some other young kid out there want to be an entertainer, they can read this story and hopefully give them some hope about what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or for those who never knew, it took what happened to me, it took me to go through this, that they never even knew I even went through this. So I'm just trying to leave something for the world, being a part of one of the greatest black groups of all times, and the many followers that we have. I'm just trying to leave something for the world to read about, and hopefully they can be educated about things that they never even thought about.
Richard,
Yes.
I have a couple of questions for you, but one, I on your last show, I noticed that your current group, Voices, has one of the most fine-tuned choreographies that I've ever seen. Who does that beautiful dance routine? Who does that?
That's a good question. That's one of the many things, like I said, I'm going to answer in my book.
Okay.
But it's me, Marilyn.
Oh, my.
Everybody that I got together, I take them and show them what the old Temptations, when I was in the group, how we used to dance and what's expected of them, and they got to honor this, and they got to respect the guys who have been there, who made it possible for them to be doing this now, as well as myself. And I take pride. If you're going to look at us, I don't want you to see a show and say, "Oh, they were all right, but they don't remind me of the Temptations." You know how folks do now. You know, you compare. Well, no, they all right, but they wasn't dancing. They wasn't doing nothing what the Temps used to do. So I try to find these kind of people, and fortunately, 4 of the guys in the beginning, believe it or not, come from Detroit.
Wonderful.
They had a group called the Citations.
Oh.
They knew every step, every song that I had forgotten about. They knew the song, they knew the dance steps, so it was easy to just critique them a little bit because basically they already knew what to do.
That's wonderful, but it's just beautiful. I mean, I was mesmerized when I saw the show.
Oh, that's great to hear you say that.
Oh, yeah. Yes, and the steps.
I know you know what you're looking at.
I sure do. It was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, that's a great compliment coming from you, Marilyn, because I know you've seen all kind of entertainers all your life. And
Yes.
to hear you say that makes me feel good to know that my hard work was not in vain.
Okay.
But interesting talking about that, and when I do speak to a lot of people, they say, they remind me, look like New Edition up there. They're moving so fast, and you guys really throw down, Richard.
Well, I like I told you, I take pride in representing.
That's right.
And I cannot represent unless I'm physically able to. I work out when I can 4 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah, but see, before I even started singing though, sports and being an athlete was my thing. Basketball, baseball, football, swimming, track, and hockey. I played all of them growing up as a kid in Detroit, and being, you would have to keep your body in shape. So I found out now that I'm getting older, if I go work out, and I got used to working out, I'm much more stronger. I had a hip replacement 9 years ago. That doesn't bother me anymore, but I had to keep my bones in shape. You can't get up there and dance if you don't take care of yourself. If you got to strengthen your body and your mind. It also makes your mind much more sharper, and it also makes me appreciate what I do now because of all, like I said, the guys who have been here and who are no longer here. I got to uphold that tradition of being a hard worker. I take this very serious, and I still want to represent.
And you are, without a doubt, a superstar as we spotlight the music of Motown legend Richard Street, the former lead singer of The Temptations, on this very special edition of classic interviews with The Temptations lead singers Richard Street, Damon Harris, and Ollie Woodson. I'm Tim Marshall. We're joined in the studio by international music journalist Larry Cotton, and R&B jazz recording artist Miss Marilyn Marshall also appears on this special interview with Richard Street. These are classic interviews on this special edition of R&B Showcase. A single from The Temptations on Motown's Gordy label, produced by Norman Whitfield. The lineup was Dr. Otis Williams, Melvin Franklin, Dennis Edwards, Damon Harris, and our spotlight artist, Richard Street. The album was solid rock, and we're, of course, featuring the music of The Temptations, honoring the legacy of three gentlemen, Ollie Woodson, Richard Street, and Damon Harris, on this special edition of R&B Showcase radio show. My name is Tim Marshall. Now we're going to go back to the interview with Motown legend Richard Street. Let's talk about Motown 25, the battle of the groups, The Temptations versus the Four Tops.
Oh, yeah, well, like I said, how could I ever forget the Four Tops? And I know Ollie couldn't forget it neither, because when we did that show at the Apollo, well, that's one of his first big shows he did with us, with singing with Levi on stage.
Okay.
Yeah, so that blew Ollie away. He kept asking me in the dressing room, "Hey, man, you think I'm going to make it all right?" I said, "Yeah, man, just go out there and be yourself." He said, "Yeah, but I'm singing against Levi." I said, "Well, I done already done it, so get your butt on out there and do it, boy."
Well, he was the bad boy, Levi.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, like I said, Levi's voice, man, was the Tops. I was a Four Tops fan ever since they made their first record in Motown.
Yeah, you all had quite a battle going on there on Motown 25 and the Returns of the Apollo. It was a knockdown, drag out, wasn't it?
Well, you know what? That's what they called it. I did it. I felt love. You know what I'm saying? I felt we were just out there having big time fun, because I personally love those guys.
You sang My Girl with Levi, right?
Oh yeah, man! I got that tape. I showed that to everybody. I said, I don't know what y'all talking about. I was on stage with Levi Stubbs. Okay.
But another piece to add on to it too. At the studio, the Tops and Temptations were making hit after hit after hit.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I was
there.
right there. Like I said, I was right there. Don't forget, guys. Some of the Funk Brothers was my band before Motown was built.
Don't you start now.
Right there.
Don't you start.
Yeah. So when I started working at Motown, during my break from quality control, I'd go down there and sit right in the middle of them while I was doing all these recording sessions. So I heard the songs before the artists did.
Can we hold that note? We got every line filled up. And,
okay.
People trying to get
ain't
in.
nobody out there looking for no money. I ain't got none.
You're tuned to the R&B Showcase with yours truly, Tim Marshall. The best of The Temptations on this special edition, spotlighting the legacies of Ollie Woodson, Richard Street, and Damon Harris, three world-class lead singers with the greatest vocal group of all time. Coming up next hour, we're going to be showcasing Damon Harris. Right now, we continue with the best of the R&B Showcase and the magic of Motown. That boy can sing, can't he, Larry? Yes, indeed.
Oh, he laughing is going to his head.
Well, how long were the monitors together, Richard?
We were together at least 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I've seen the group perform a couple of times at the Uptown Theater.
Oh, yeah, we were there. Yeah, we were doing those shows back in the days. And Candy, Sandra Fagan, Maurice Fagan, they were husband and wife.
Okay.
And Warren Harris, who was the baritone bass singer, and he also came along after I had taught Melvin how to sing bass. He showed Melvin some tricks of the trade with his voice. He's a great singer and a great dancer.
You know, it's amazing how a lot of young people are getting to this music here now and loving it. And
well,
I mean,
I always said, even though when I was working in quality control, good music never dies.
How about that?
Ouch. No thing against rap, nothing like that. But I'm just saying, back in the days, that all that music, the Curtis Mayfields, the Stax, the Philly Sound. I mean, all that stuff, man. All those songs were made are still alive. When you're playing for young kids nowadays, they like it.
Yeah, because when you hear it now, it still sounds fresh. Some music sound old,
Yeah.
but
Not
this,
old at all. You know, it's still good, and thank God that music is international because, Larry, when I do go over there in Europe,
I hear you.
just so many people ask me to sing Temptation song, ask me to sing Monitor song.
I know it. Yeah.
He's been blowing me away. I was coming outside, they had the LP waiting on me to sign. Boy, you guys remember this? And oh yeah. And they be yelling special requests while I be doing the Temptation show.
Well, the Monsters made some good music. I said, love y'all stuff.
Well, you know, all that music was made by the Funk Brothers.
Right.
The same ones that was making all the music at Motown. So you see that the talent was on everybody. Whoever recorded in Motown, you had the Funk Brothers.
Okay.
And they was the hottest thing that has ever been in history.
How about that?
Was there ever a time when the Monitors with Richard Street performed on the same show with the Temptations with David Ruffin and the Contours with Dennis Edwards? Was there ever a show when all you guys were together at the same time?
No, there was a time when the Distance was on the same show with David Ruffin when he had Mr. Bus Driver out.
Wow.
that was back in the 50s.
My goodness. What was that, the Voice Masters or something?
No, that was back in the 50s. That's when David Ruffin had out this song called Mr. Bus Driver. It started off at one tempo and ended up at another.
I never heard that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you got to get that. If I can find it for you guys, I'll send you one.
Is that on the
first biggest records he made by himself.
Is that on the Anna label?
It's got to be.
Okay.
It's got to be on the Anna label. Yeah, that's got to be. No, we never sung with the Contours, but where I played in the nightclub when I was like a teenager,
okay,
Dennis was a block away from me, and we never could catch each other's shows because we went on at the same time. And that's before he got into Contours and before I came back to the Temps.
Wow.
So much history.
This is a piece of history.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I was just. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, do you realize how many great singers you sung with in your life? And I thought about that for a minute. I said, yeah, there have been quite a few great, wonderful R&B singers. You know what I mean? Spiritual singers. Yeah. I mean, I've sung with a lot of great people.
I'm surprised you didn't cut a gospel album or CD.
Well, you know, I see, I'm working on, we got some. But right now, I'm just working on my mom's special request. She wanted me to sing those standards, like Nat King Cole. Yeah, she, you know, I always croon to her. She liked to hear me sing smooth, you know. And she always wanted me to do that. I wanted to do that, and I wanted to do some spirituals too, because I love to do that. I got a job in Detroit walking down the street at a sanctified church, just because I could bang on the piano.
Well, you definitely have the voice for it all. You can sing anything.
I just love to, you know, I've been around music all my life. I was singing in the 4th grade in school, so it's something that's just always been a part of me. Regardless if I was singing lead or background, I just want to be a part of it.
One more thing before we close up tonight. I know you got a meeting to go to tonight, but what about the book? Is it still in the makings?
Yeah, well, you see, it's funny how God moves sometimes. You think you're ready to do something and it's all finished, and then something else happens.
Okay.
It got to go in the book.
Another chapter. Okay.
Yeah.
I
And it's just not one page. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole nother chapter. And sometimes it'd be something that will make sense what you wrote earlier, that maybe you didn't explain it the way you wanted to explain it.
Okay. And you know, now that you have all these young people getting into the group, you definitely want to explain it now, because they're thirsty for this knowledge.
Oh yeah, no, I got to get back, Larry. That's what I said earlier. One of my goals when you get to be my age is you want to give back, and even if only one person can get something out of what you said, that's satisfying.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I admire the fact that you're going to Detroit to do this thing here.
Oh yeah,
you and Deborah.
That's no problem. I mean, that was my brother, and anything that I could do for him. I mean, you know, I was at David and Eddie's funeral. Okay.
All right now.
Paul, you know, and especially my cousin Melvin. Okay. I mean, come on. You know, I don't miss out unless I'm not in the country.
Okay.
You know, if I'm here and anybody that passed away that grew up with us in Detroit, I try to be there. The only reason why I'm not, I'm overseas working.
I hear you.
Yeah. Other than that, I try to give my respects because that's what life is all about. You hope one day that you get the chance to see everybody again.
That's one of the great things about you, Richard. You're also, and I know with some of the times we talk, you're very complimentary of the groups, the members of the groups. And we've talked about previously when, Theo Peoples is the person that came in after you, and you spoke so highly of him. And I think that's just very honorable of you, Richard.
And you tell him like it is.
I realized, I never thought when I was a kid I'd be in one of the world's famous black groups of all times. So it's like pinch me, okay? Even I've been there all them years, it still pinch me. Was I really there? Because it's like a mind, when you're working as much as I did, we used to work 11 months out the year. I never had time to think about that. Now that I've gotten out and I've had the last 10 years had, various health issues and stuff like that to reflect on my life and my career, it's like, wow, I had a chance to do that. And I never dreamed that I'd ever have a chance to do that. And I'm very thankful and very appreciated of where I've been, where I've gone, what I've done, and I still got a little bit more to do, and I just want to do it before they close the chapter on me.
Now, is there any?
They're gonna close the chapter, you know that.
Now, is there any country you haven't been to yet?
No, not really. No, I've been all over the world. I've been fortunate enough to go to every country that I've ever. Some countries I've never dreamed I'd see. I have seen them in my lifetime, and also met all kind of people. And like I say, Larry, as a kid coming in Detroit from a factory town, I thought I'd go to the factory too when I grew up. Yeah, just like my uncles and everybody in my family. I thought that would be my appetite right there. Okay, you're going to the factory too, but man, little did I know I would go around the world more than 30 times.
Oh, wow. 30 times.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. I hear you.
Well,
I've been around the world, and I do have a story to tell about my experiences because some of them were funny and some of them were sad. But they all have a meaning. When I get through telling my story, it's going to be a meaning with a period on it.
I hear you, brother.
Yeah, because I want to help anybody out there that I can, any kid, I don't care what color you are. Life is life. I don't care if you're a basketball player, you're a singer, or you work at it, whatever you do, life is going to be life. And it all depends on how you handle it and what you go through and how did you get through the bad times. It's easy to get through the good times, but how did I get through the bad times is what a lot of people want to know.
Tell me about it.
They haven't heard me talk about it yet.
I heard that.
Well, we appreciate you checking into the show once again, Richard, and being part of the R&B Showcase. And much continued success with your tour and with your group.
Well, anything come up, guys, next time I talk to y'all, I hope to have some very surprising, wonderful news about where my career is headed.
Okay.
And it'll be a whole nother different conversation, hopefully, the next time I'll be on the radio station. And I thank you so much, Larry and Tim, for giving me the opportunity to go over the wires so people can hear me.
Our pleasure. Always a pleasure. And thank you for taking the time out to do this interview tonight. And I know you have your meeting to go to. We're sorry for holding you up.
Hey, no. This is more important right now than the meeting. You guys have been in my corner, and I just want the listeners to know how you guys help other people succeed in life. And that's very important. Sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Well, I'm amazed how so many people still remember you and know a lot about you, especially the young school coming up. You talk about kids 9, 10, 11 years old,
Yeah,
you know?
They know
Yeah, that's blowing me away too.
Oh.
I'm amazed at that myself. Yes, I truly am. And that's why I know I have truly been blessed.
All right now.
Well, Richard, we will keep a light in the window for you, brother.
All right, please do.
Thanks for
Thank
checking
you,
in,
guys.
man.
Thank you, Rich.
Okay.
Stations from 1973 and Heavenly is a co-lead with our honored guest, Motown legend Richard Street, and the high tenor Damon Harris, who is the on-record successor to Eddie Kendricks. And we're going to go into the special guest interview with Damon Harris, and I'm joined by my co-host, international music journalist, Mr. Larry Cotton, on this special edition of the R&B Showcase.
Damon, can you remember your first, where was your first performance as a Temptation?
At a place called Edgewater Park in Michigan, just a little outside of Detroit. It's kind of like an amusement park. Is where, that's exactly where it was.
I thought you were going to say Edgewater Park, New Jersey.
No, is there in Edgewater Park, New Jersey?
Yeah, there is.
I thought that, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it is Edgewater Park, Michigan.
Yeah.
It's a little outside of Detroit. And what was really special about that, I don't think I had met Eddie officially after my announcement of being a part of the group, of being accepted into the group. And he and David Ruffin were there. They came sort of unannounced, though. And it was quite a moment for me to actually see the man who, I used to pay to go see at shows, in Baltimore, standing outside now of his place, and me standing, in his place, basically, and also see him with David Ruffin. That was a really unique experience at that time.
That must have been exciting, huh?
Yeah, it was, definitely.
Now, Damon, when you first joined the Temps are known for their precision, and actually they've influenced many of today's groups over the years, including groups like New Edition and NSYNC. What was it like learning all of that choreography? I mean, you guys are really stepping.
It was fun for me. I feel like, again, I cut my teeth on the Temptations in a manner of speaking as far as, my career as a performer goes. And so it wasn't very difficult, for me at all, because we, in the group that I was in prior to that, we did, I would say, maybe 70% of the routines that the Temptations did by, me having gone to, one of the stage shows or something like that in Baltimore, or, seeing them on TV on the Ed Sullivan Show. Video wasn't available, as a commercial item and in-home item, basically, at that time. But I managed to just remember most of these things, along with some of my other friends who was in my local group at the time. And so coming to the group, that transition wasn't as difficult, say, as it would have been had I not been a Temptations fan, or the kind of Temptations fan that I was at the time, coming in and having to learn, the show and things like that. So it was fairly easy. In fact, going back to the date that you spoke of concerning Edgewater Park, my first date, I think after I was accepted to the group, Dennis took as a gift. Took me to Disneyland at that time, and we had a week stay there, and shortly after we came back to Detroit, and we had 2 weeks to prepare for this show, and then a string of, I think, 20 dates, following. So in essence, I only had 2 weeks preparation time, before we actually performed.
To learn all that wow.
Yeah.
Especially Superstar. You all are really jamming on that song.
Yeah, you're right. We worked.
You all really
worked really hard on that. Yeah, with Pop Atkins. That's true. Yeah, Charlie Atkins. Yeah.
Now, Damon, you won 3 Grammys and several American Music Awards with the Temptations.
Right.
How many albums did you record with the group?
9 in total.
9 albums.
Yeah, 9 albums. And they all were gold. And as you said, the 3 Grammys, 2 for Papa Was a Rolling Stone and 1 for Masterpiece, and then 2 American Music Awards.
Did you do any live albums with the Temps?
Yes, we did. In fact, we had an album, excuse me, called The Temptations Live in Japan.
Okay, was that ever released?
It was, but it was released over, in Europe and quite naturally Japan, but it didn't make it here for some reason or another. I don't know why.
Overseas, I guess they get their hands on everything over there, don't they?
It seems, it seems that way, but they get it slightly different. I guess they have a different sense of marketing and things. Like, for instance, most of the albums that were released here initially had different album covers, basically, and why that was, I don't know, or the label was different. Like in the United Kingdom, instead of our records, which were released on the Gordy label, I found that the albums were released on the Tamla Motown label, there. So they did things slightly different, overseas than we do things here.
Now that song, Papa Was a Rolling Stone, that was one of them songs that several guys in the group did not want to record. What is the story behind Papa?
Dennis didn't want to record it because the opening line referred to his father's death, the day his father died, actually.
Okay.
But I was in the studio when that controversy took place. I just learned of this with the Temptations mini-series when it was cut. I didn't know because Dennis never spoke of it. But that was the only problem that I knew. Otis had a problem with recording Papa because it was a continuation of the kind of music that the Temps were most known for, and that's the slamming, driving, up-tempo stuff. And Otis wanted a different to go in a different direction. He wanted to continue with tunes more like Just My Imagination. And so they were kind of like at odds with our producer, Norman Whitfield, at the time, based on those issues primarily. But I thought the song, I liked the song a lot. I didn't have any problem with it, and I hadn't heard any difference or, issues that Melvin had about it, nor Richard.
I'm going to ask Damon, what was the first lead that you did with the Temptations?
My first recording with the group actually was Take a Look Around.
Okay.
And Superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Superstar, Remember How You Got Where You Are.
I remember that, yes.
And then they released Papa after that, and then, the rest was history.
Mm-hmm.
It just shot.
And smooth sailing from now on, huh?
Yeah, right. That's right.
That's the flip. That's the flip of Take a Look Around.
I was surprised to hear y'all sing "I Need You." That really blew me away.
Yeah, that was something.
Well, that, like I said, in the show, that's one of those, rare and special love songs and album cuts, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That is a standard among Temptations fans.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just, it was no other way that I wasn't going to do it because, it's a very soulful, bluesy kind of simple romantic song. And so, we decided to do it, and it really helped my show because, again, guys, it's just about perpetuating, or resurrecting the legacy and keeping that alive.
And another thing I found interesting that really blew me away: your son Otis, he Love Woke Me Up This Morning. That's my favorite recording by you, and I was surprised that he liked that song.
My son, you mean?
Otis said, he said Love Woke Me Up This Morning was his favorite song.
Yes, he
I
did.
said mine too,
Mm-hmm.
backstage.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke very highly of you, man. He was so proud and happy for you today.
Mm-hmm.
I was touched too.
Mm-hmm.
When he mentioned and the music that he's collecting and his research, I said, wow, this is deep.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I heard about the grandson singing, I can't wait to hear him sing, Damon.
Yeah.
You got to bring him on one of your shows.
Yeah.
That's something that I don't really, maybe I should promote, but I don't, because of my experiences in the truth, knowing the truth of the business.
Okay.
And if he chooses to do that, I would support him But I would not necessarily encourage him to do it to perpetuate my legacy. Okay, it's just how I am. I mean, I'm gonna love him whether he's a star or he's an engineer or a bus driver or an astronaut. But he is a talented young man. And my son, as far as my son goes, Trey. He tells me certain things. He was talking to me about a month ago, and he was telling me about "I Need You," that's on 1990. Okay? The song that I sing lead on. And he was saying, Dad, that song is, if you release that song could be really a hit again. And it was funny to me that he said that because I sought and I seek redemption with "I Need You," because at the time that Norman had introduced it to me, he wrote that song especially for me. Okay? Because it was in Norman's mind that I was going to be the future of the Temptations. And if you look at the 1990 album cover, you notice that I'm standing atop everyone, and above my head is the year 1990. Okay, and that was Norman's concept and idea. Okay, so when he wrote that song for me, he had a special feel in mind and an idea, but at that time I couldn't grasp it because I was so Temptation oriented. That song didn't seem to be like a Temptation song in spirit. Okay, so I wasn't very happy with the outcome of my performance, and as a result of that, it stuck with me. And now that I do understand the concept of it, I thought maybe I would, either re-record it or just simply do it in the show.
Okay.
And we've made arrangements to do it in the show because it's got a nice tempo, and it's got a nice vibe, and I think it would, help, the momentum of the show. Because the way the show is established, we start out with the music of the Classic Five, and the founding fathers, so to speak. And then, we identify Dennis's inclusion to the group and Dennis's period. And then, we identify the music of my era with Masterpiece and Papa Was a Rolling Stone.
Okay.
And then we culminated, of course, with Just My Imagination. And the way you do things, you do, but we didn't do it that night because we were under time constraint.
Right.
Yeah. So,
how old were you when you joined the Temps, Damon?
I was just about to turn 21, so I was actually 20. A lot of people say, I've heard stories like he was 15 years old because he was destined to be, But
so young,
yeah. But I was just about to turn 21 when I joined the group.
Well, one of the cuts that we talked about, I'm going to play right now. This is a great record. It was written by Nicholas Ashford and Valerie Simpson. You do a dynamite job on this song, Damon. I hope this is a song that you put back in your show called "Love Woke Me Up" this morning.
Damon, I want to ask you, as an entertainer, what would you say would be your most memorable performance experience?
Tim, I don't know. There's so many shows that that I've done until it's hard to say actually what performance was my best and the one that I favored the most. What I can say though, in terms of moments with the Temptations, was first the time that Dennis acknowledged me as having become a new Temptation. And then when I was packing to go away overseas on I think it was a 14-day tour in Europe, and was watching the Grammys, and when Michael and Donny Osmond, as the presenters, were opening the envelope to say who won the Grammy, and obviously they stated that it was us. And I was really charged at that because that was the only thing I think left for me to accomplish. I had become one of the Temptations. I was the successor to the man who had been my idol, since I was a young man growing up in Baltimore, and I had gold records, and I had money, and I had fame, and anything and everything that I wanted, and much like athletes aspire to have the championship trophy, of their sport. Well, that's what winning a Grammy represented for me, and also the American Music Award too. Those things, but they were the prime moments in my time and my career with the Temptations.
Been Good to You from the Young Vandals featuring Mr. Damon Harris, who became the successor to Eddie Kendricks in the Temptations. You could really hear the influence of brother EJK, Eddie James Kendricks, on that particular track. And when he left the Temptations, he reformed that group as Impact and had the hit One Last Memory, the final chapter in the Book of Love, which we'll get to shortly. Right now, we're going to continue with our tribute to the three great legendary lead singers of the Temptations, Damon Harris, Richard Street, and Ollie Woodson. We're going to close out the interview with Mr. Damon Harris. We appreciate you checking into the show tonight and sharing this history with all the listeners here. We appreciate it.
Hey, well, always, Tim, because the things that you and your mom, did as far as the banquet and the thing that you did for me several years ago, back and things like that.
People are still talking about that, man. Yeah.
Kudos to you for your support, both you and Larry.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, man.
Right there.
Appreciate you two checking into the show, and keep on keeping on, Damon.
You guys too, okay?
All right,
the best.
We'll talk to you.
Thanks again, Damon.
Okay, thanks now. Take care.